going live. All right, here we are. We are live, and I feel kind of special. I keep getting these amazing, awesome lady hammers on my show lately. This is super cool. I like it. And we have another one here, multiple-time New Jersey state champ, just got third at the Spanish Grand Prix, and she's kicking ass up at Brock University in Canada, right?
Yep, Canada.
Yep, so we got her here, another one of our amazing USA girls coming up, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of her at Skylar Grote. Did I say Grote, right? I said it right?
Grote, yeah.
Yeah, didn't fuck it up. I'm good. All right. All right, what's up, girl? How are you, man? Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so honored, man. This week I've just had lady studs, man. I'm just so happy. I'm glad that the women are saying yes to me. That doesn't happen that my whole life, so I finally saying yes. Yeah, feels good.
Yeah, having me. Yeah, I think it's a good time to promote women's wrestling, and any way I can help, I'm going to. So I hope this interview will kind of speak to some people, speak to little girls, speak to parents who their daughters want to wrestle. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, I know, first of all, I mean, you live in New Jersey, right?
Yep.
You're at home now, it looks like. That doesn't look like your dorm room. So
Yeah.
I know your area there in the Northeast was hit pretty hard. We're down in Florida now. It's Florida that's hit hard, but what have you been able to, how has your off season kind of been affected by this, and what have you done to keep your mind right and keep your body ready?
Yeah, so in March, I was at school at Brock University in Canada, and that's when the virus started to get bad, and schools were canceling, and my school canceled around like March 15th, and we were no longer allowed to have practices and stuff. So I came home in March, and I was off the mat for a while like everyone else. I took the virus seriously and stuff, and didn't start wrestling until gyms were open, and I got a mat in my basement, so that was useful. I had my friend come over and wrestle with me a little bit and just try to minimize my risk as much as possible. I live with my parents who are older, so I had to be responsible for their sake. So I did. I actually ran a half marathon this quarantine because I never to run, and I don't like running, but I just like challenges. And so this quarantine, I was like, okay, if I can't get on the mat a whole bunch, what can I do to keep my body in shape and just challenge myself mentally and physically. So I was able to do that, and that was good for me. And now I'm training at clubs around the area, and I'm preparing for senior nationals in October.
That's awesome. And now you mentioned your parents. I read somewhere that your dad didn't suck at wrestling. He was pretty good himself. He was on the Olympic team, right, as an alternate or something. Did I read that correct?
Yeah, so my dad started wrestling in 8th grade, I believe, and he wrestled for Scotch Plains, in New Jersey, and then he went on to wrestle at Cornell for college, and then after that he wrestled in med school while he was becoming a doctor, and he was an alternate for the Olympics in '76. So wrestling runs, that's for sure.
That's the year I was born.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm obviously, if he was in med school in '76, he's a little bit older than me because I was born in '76. But awesome. Can he still? Does he still try to roll a little bit with you, or he can't touch you now?
Well, it's actually funny because he's a lot bigger than me, obviously, but he did not give up wrestling. He would not give up wrestling. He's 68 years old, and he wrestled until about 4 years ago. He was going into the Blair room and trying to roll with the heavyweights and stuff. He just loved sport and stuff. And like every once in a while, I'll work on like 2-on-1s with him and stuff and that kind of thing. But he's just a big guy, so it's a little hard for me to drill with him.
That's awesome. Coach Bill Crum just said, Skylar's dad, Dr. Walter Grote, and I have been friends for 40 years. Ask her about his deadly headlock.
Oh yeah. He's my dad, when he wrestled, he like never shot to a knee. So we're very different. I like a single. I like going to my knees and stuff. I'm not a big thrower, but my dad, all he did was throw and stuff. And a lot of people will say like the headlock doesn't work, but this man would throw everybody in a headlock. Every single person. He had so many different ways of getting to the headlock. He was just a magician with it. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, so well known. There it is. Comments are coming. Awesome. Well, that's cool. So I know you had mentioned in the comments that you started wrestling at 8 years old.
Yep.
And obviously, I'm guessing that it was dad that threw you into it.
It was kind of myself. So my dad and his buddy were wrestling actually in this living room. So things were a little different in here, but they were over in like this area because we had the TV set up and like a coffee table or whatever. So they're like wrestling in the living room, and my mom's up in the kitchen, of course, like yelling at them, like, don't break my TV, don't break my coffee table, whatever. But my dad would always be wrestling. He'd always like, wrestle around with his friends and stuff. So I was young. I was probably around 5. And I said to my dad, I want to wrestle. Like right after, I thought it looked fun and I wanted to do it. But my parents kind of talked about it and they're like, she's kind of young to start wrestling. And I was involved in other sports at a very young age. I know I did basketball at like 6 or 7. So I was always doing sports, but they just thought it was a little too early for wrestling. So then when I was 8 years old, they came to me and they were like, Skylar, do you still kind of, do you want to still wrestle? And I was kind of like, I don't know. But like I was always up for a challenge. So I said, yeah, I'll try it. And that's kind of how it started.
And the rest is history. So you wrestled, 8, 9, 10, whatever. And then you end up becoming only the 4th girl at the time, only the 4th girl in like 10 years or something to be part of the boys Blair Academy program. First of all, I know you were getting into the story when we were talking off the air, but tell us what made Blair the place for you. Obviously, you knew they didn't have a girls' team. You knew the level. They're usually top 2, top 3, at least in prep nationals, nationwide. So tell us what made you say, okay, I want to do it. I want to challenge myself. I want to be there.
Yeah. So I've had multiple points in my life where I've thought about giving up wrestling just because of the lack of opportunity for, women in the sport. It was a lot for me when I was little, just not having other girls to wrestle, not having the resources that the boys had. So there were multiple points in my life where I did think about giving up the sport. And one of those points was when I was going to high school. I wanted to go to Blair because it was a good academic school and I knew that it would get me into a good college. And my parents always stressed the importance of putting school first. So I always wanted to put school first and I always did before sport. But I didn't think I wanted to wrestle at Blair going there for school. I thought that it would be too difficult. I was intimidated being the only girl on an all boys wrestling team. I didn't know if I was at their level. So that was very difficult for me. But one of the coaches, Coach Stanoff, before I got to Blair, sat me down and said, I really don't think that you should quit wrestling. I think that you should give it a year at Blair and see how it is. Like, if you want to quit after a year, that's fine. But let's just give Blair a chance, and we're willing to help you and help you accomplish your goals and your dreams, and we don't think you should give it up. So I agreed, and I made it through a year of wrestling, and then I wanted to continue, so I wrestled from freshman year to senior year.
And 2 and 4 New Jersey state titles in those times, and many newspaper articles, and running around with the boys. I've read them all. If you want to read about Grote, just type in her name and she Googles, it comes up, and you can get a lot of really cool articles about her, and the start of her journey at Blair, and what she went through there, and just the awesome steps she took to just being the woman she is today. So it's good. And then so now you already had a goal. I mean, academics has been on your mind. Wrestling is your passion, but academics is what's important right now. And what made you decide, okay, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to Brock? What made you choose them as your school?
So again, probably the third time I thought about giving up wrestling was going into college, because a lot of the women's wrestling programs, the schools are just not academically strong. So that was an issue for me because I went to Blair, and I was able to get into a good academic school. I went to Lafayette for a year. And so I put school first, and I decided that I was going to go to Lafayette, and I was going to wrestle on the boys club team, and go to Buxton's club in Randolph and just kind of make it work. But I realized halfway through my year at Lafayette that if I wanted to go to the Olympics and I wanted to make world teams, that I needed a team. I was fairly young. I was 18 years old, and it was hard to do it on my own. I wasn't mature enough, I think, to do it on my own. I cared about going to practice and not having a partner or just things like that. So I just wasn't as mature as I am today. Today I go into a practice, and if it's all boys, I look at a boy who's my size and I say, hey, you're going with me today. So I've definitely grown, but I was not at that point yet when I was 18. So I definitely needed more support than I was getting. So I decided I needed to transfer. And so my dad helped me look at schools and options, but I didn't really see myself at any of the schools in the States. I'm a business student, so I was trying to find a place with a good program for business, and that just happened to be in Canada. So I looked at Guelph in Canada, and I looked at Brock, and I found a home at Brock. I'm in a room with Olympians and world team members, and it was just the best environment to put myself in academically and athletically. So I found a home there, and I love it. So
Good for you. And you obviously have been raised right, because your thoughts, and it's amazing how you've made decisions that most 18-year-olds don't make or can't make. So good for you for just knowing what you want and knowing where you want to go. It's awesome. And you're not doing bad, right? You just got third at the Spanish Grand Prix. You're up at college. You're getting your business degree. And right now you're just home chilling, right? You just had the storm go through. So I heard you got the generator on. That kind of sucks.
yeah, we have no power. We lost power yesterday, and it's supposed to be out till Thursday. So
Yeah, well, I live in Florida, so I know all about that.
mhm.
It happens a couple times a year to us.
Yeah.
Hopefully not this year, knock on wood.
You know what? There's worse things that can happen than losing power, though. So
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and yeah, that's the least of the problems these days, right?
especially with COVID going around and stuff, I'm like, all right, if the worst thing that's going to happen is we lose power, I'll deal with it.
That's awesome. Well, I know that you've been getting involved with How She Wrestles. It's an awesome, girls movement that Julia Salata started, and she's posting out all this cool stuff. Man, that thing has just snowballed, right? I mean, it's just what a great movement that was started, and you guys are doing big things. Talk about the growth of women's wrestling and what you guys are doing. And 28 states now have been sanctioned, and just learning about all you wrestlers and getting to know that there's some badasses out there that you don't know. We need to get to know these girls.
Yeah. Yeah. So the growth of wrestling for women is crazy right now. It's the fastest growing female sport, and it has been for a couple years, I believe. Every year it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I think that it's such a topic right now because there's still a lot of resistance to it. There's still a lot of coaches and people that are uncomfortable with it. But I feel like when a lot of people are educated on it and educated what the sport does for both genders, I think that people are more open to it. Just like anything, if you educate people on the benefits of something, they're going to be less narrow-minded and stuff. So I think especially with this movement, it's so important because it's effortless to just listen to somebody's, video, like the How She Wrestles videos, and that's gonna reach people who are maybe against females wrestling and maybe open their mind to it and maybe change their perspective on the topic. So I think that all the work being done with How She Wrestles is great. And I think that we, as people, just need to be open to more things than, especially wrestling. Wrestling's an easy thing to be like, oh, a lot of people are like, it's not for women, it's, a male sport, but it's not. It's changing. Women should be a part of it. Like, the sport has done great things for so many girls, especially for me. It's changed my life. I can't see my life without wrestling. And so it's time for change, and I'm excited for it.
That's awesome. And I know you spoke on it a little bit, and that's what made you hesitant at Blair, but your time as a youth wrestler, what was it like being a female in the sport? Like, obviously, now the girls that are coming up, it's a little bit different. They're more accepting. They're more accepted in the room now. Girls and boys are going together. People aren't walking out of tournaments and saying, no, my kid's not wrestling a girl. I think they're probably not going through some of the same things that your age bracket went through, or your generation. So talk about that. What was it like not getting the same opportunities maybe, or maybe you did?
Yeah, no, I definitely think I've struggled with a lack of opportunity my whole wrestling career. I mean, I still struggle with lack of opportunity. There's not many RTCs that have women at it. I know Arizona now has those handful of girls that are training there, Forrest and Allie and all of them. So that's a place to train, but there's not many RTCs that have female senior athletes at it now. So there's still kind of a lack of opportunity. But growing up, being a female wrestler, it was hard. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, I loved it. It was like a love-hate relationship when I was younger, but it was difficult and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I went through, boys trying to hurt me, trying to punch me. I had parents telling their sons to pull my hair, to rip my headgear off. I had boys tell me they couldn't wrestle me for religious reasons. Just like the stupidest crap you could ever think of, it probably happened to me. So I always had to prove myself. I always had to prove, that I belonged. The parents were probably the worst part. Parents were definitely the worst. Kids don't really judge all that much. Sure, I had little kids saying, oh, you have to wrestle the girl or whatever, but that didn't really bother me. But it was really the parents' comments, because as a little kid, you really look up to older people, and just hearing the negativity from the parents really affected me negatively. And that was one of the main reasons I came to a point where I wanted to give it up in elementary school. So I think that parents should be cautious of what they're saying, and they need to be encouraging, because, how could you discourage a little 10-year-old from something she loves doing or he loves doing? You should be supportive. And so, yeah, I really hope that we can change and that 10-year-olds don't have to go through that anymore.
Yeah, because I think kids play the nanny nanny boo boo game, whatever. Like, you're a girl, I'm a guy, ew. But I think hearing the things that are heard louder from older people is disheartening.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when kids are joking with each other. You get that, it's the age, right? But at that age, parents, older people are influencing the kids. The kids don't wake up one day and say, I don't want to wrestle a girl. They've
Yeah.
been not to.
I think that parents are responsible if their kids are saying, you have to wrestle the girl or whatever. I think it is the responsibility of the parent to say, you know, she's not a girl, she's a wrestler, respect her for being a wrestler. And I think a lot of parents don't take that responsibility, and I think they need to, because if we don't correct that kind of attitude, then it's just going to continue.
I tell my son, watch out for her hips, because if you don't, she's going to pin you.
Yeah.
With her legs. What was it like transitioning from having to always wrestle boys to get into the higher level and having to transition, and now it's girls all the time? Because I know, talking to a lot of ladies out there, it's a tough transition, because you're going from shooting legs all the time to now you're working upper body because the girls' legs are stronger. Kind of. Did you go through some of that as well?
Yeah, I think wrestling is wrestling. I mean, I do think that there are differences wrestling guys versus girls. I think that girls are a lot more flexible and stuff. So certain moves will work better against guys, because guys don't really have as flexible shoulders or hips. So there are differences in that regards. I think that the differences are minor. I think that wrestling is wrestling. If you wrestle girls or guys, you're going to get better. But for me, you know, obviously there are physical differences between men and women, and obviously being a senior level woman, I'm not going to be competing against senior level guys. So it's important for me to train with other women, you know, to get better wrestling girls. You know, you always want to simulate what you are going to face in competition. So I think wrestling other females as a female wrestler is important, because that's who you're going to be wrestling in competition. So you should always prepare for how it's going to be on competition day. So that's basically my opinion on that.
Awesome. And I know that, so I'm sure you've had some role models, some people you look up to, some people that have been around you and have encouraged you, kept you from falling off the track. How important has that been to have those type of people around you that you know you can count on?
Yeah, I think role models are great. I mean, my first role model was obviously my dad. He wrestled, so I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. But he also did a good job, you know, introducing me to people to look up to. So he always brought me to North Warren, which is the high school in my area where I was supposed to go if I didn't go to Blair. And there was a female who wrestled at North Warren, and her name was Sam Fee, and she was super tough and stuff. So I always got to look up to her when I was little. And then there was another female wrestler in my area. She wrestled for Newton, and my dad also, you know, connected me with her, and I was able to work out with her a little bit. I got to see her compete against high school boys, so I always went to her matches and stuff. And then, you know, as I got older, I started to watch, you know, Helen and Adeline and stuff, and you know, I look up to them and their success. And so I think it's super important to have role models, especially when you have big goals and dreams. It's good to have a good role model.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I've been learning a lot going through this, and there's some young girls in high school, 100-pounders, 152-pounders. I've been reading about them they're coming up too. So that's good that there's a wave of you girls coming through, and I think we're going to see some amazing things. It's been fun watching kind of the turn of everything and the tide, and seeing all the How She Wrestles and Wrestle Like a Girl come out, and all the sanctionings happening. And excuse me, it just seems like the dominoes are falling. So now, I've spoken to different people that believe, yes, sanctioned girls should have their own team, but don't keep them from some of that intramural training with the boys, because they still think that it's beneficial? Or are you like, look, go full girls, go full boys, separate it all and go?
No, I don't believe in the separate. I think that it's important for some integration. I don't think that every practice should, you should integrate the boys and the girls, but I think some integration is important. I think that, females in the sport can teach men, other men in the sport. And I think vice versa. Like, I don't think it's just guys can teach women and that's it. Like, there are things that a lot of female wrestlers can offer guys as well. Like, you don't have to physically dominate someone just to learn from them. There are a lot of techniques and stuff that, we have world team females and women that have been to the Olympics and stuff. You're telling me that they're not capable of, teaching other wrestlers good techniques and stuff? Of course they are. So I think that some integration is important. I think respecting the other gender is important. And I think that when we're together, we uplift each other. Whereas if we're totally separate, we don't really respect each other in the same way. I think when you see someone train alongside of you, that you just kind of create a respect for them that you wouldn't get training separately. So.
Yeah, I think, growing up, if I was playing basketball and I was on the basketball team, we'd all go watch the girls play, and the girls would all come watch our team play, or soccer or tennis, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That certainly should happen. And would you have wanted to come up through wrestling, never having wrestled a boy? It had to have helped you, right?
Yeah, it definitely helped me. I think that if the opportunity to wrestle other girls was there and like I could get enough competition wrestling other girls, then I probably would have stuck to wrestling other girls. But I don't think that it should be totally separate. I think that there should be some integration of girls wrestling boys. And I think that we can help one another. I don't think that, we should compete against men. Maybe on the elementary, middle school level, that's fine. But once it gets to high school, there's a lot of physical differences that makes it hard. But right now, it's just a lack of opportunity. There's not enough girls to wrestle with and stuff. So that's why the girls are forced to wrestle the guys. So I liked my time wrestling against guys. I think that transitioning to only wrestling female in college was a nice adjustment. I can't tell you what's the right way. I don't know if girls should be wrestling guys in high school. I don't really know. I know it made me tough and it served a purpose for me. I don't know what the right answer is now. I don't know if the opportunity is there right now. I think that there's just men's wrestling is still so much bigger than female wrestling. So do I think that a girl should only wrestle 5 matches a year against other girls because that's all she has? No, I think that if she's going to get more opportunity wrestling guys, then maybe she should do both. It's just a lack of opportunity still. And
that's what the fight is for, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. Now, are you the only child, or do you have brothers and sisters?
So I'm one of 7.
Jesus, did they ever sleep?
So my mom had 3 kids from a previous marriage, and my dad had 2. And then they had my sister and I. And my sister and I, well, my brothers wrestled a little bit, but my dad's only son did not wrestle at all. So he played football and then he played rugby, and he was a good athlete and stuff, but he never had a son that wrestled. So it's just kind of funny because his 2 daughters wrestled. And then my sister gave up the sport in 8th grade. And then I'm still going strong, and I'm the baby of the family. So
you're the baby, but you can beat all their asses, right? That's awesome. Cool. Man, 7. No wonder the house is so big.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, all right. Are you ready for my 10 questions?
Sure.
Oh, first, before we go there, I did want to ask you this. You spoke about going through this a lot when you were young, but you were able to fight through it and not quit. Little girls out there that are hearing that noise, are hearing the name calling. What do you tell those little girls about what you had to do to really adjust and say, no, this is my sport, and I don't care what they're saying around me.
You know, I was really lucky to have supportive parents, and my parents always said to me, we'll let you quit if you're quitting for the right reasons. If you want to quit wrestling because you don't like wrestling anymore and you want to do something else, that's fine. But we're not letting you quit because some parent doesn't approve of you wrestling. So that, I think, is a good message. I think little girls that are out there listening and, you know, they're done with the negativity from parents and stuff. I think that if you truly love wrestling and stuff, you should stick it out, because one day it's all going to be worth it. I mean, it was definitely worth all the hardships for me, and I can't even see myself without wrestling now. So, you know, getting through those hard times were definitely were worth it. And although in the moment it seems terrible, every obstacle that you come across is only going to make you stronger. And I think that I've realized that, you know, within the last couple of years. But before that, there were points where I was just like, I'm done with wrestling. This is so hard. But now I just look at difficult times as things that are going to make me stronger. And I think to have that perspective is important. And I wish I had that perspective when I was younger.
Well, that was well said. And
Thanks.
as I've been hearing you talk about it, I was like, well, we got to get into these kids' heads. So it's good because, you know, there's little girls out there right now that, you know, God willing, are going to see this on one of the girl platforms and be like, that's it. That's my new hero.
No.
Up to you. So that's going to be awesome. All right. I've got 10 questions for you. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Taylor ham. Of course.
The funk roll or the leg lace?
Leg lace, of course.
The fat sandwich or the cheesesteak?
Fat sandwich.
The waist roll or the chest lock turn?
The waist roll or the chest lock?
Yeah.
Chest lock.
All right. I think I said that right. Tomato pie or New York pizza?
New York pizza. But I call pizza pie too. So I'm from New Jersey. So we'll say let's get a pizza pie.
All right. Well, whatever. There's no rules to this game, so you can make up whatever you want. Head and arm throw or suplex?
Head and arm.
Rippers or Italian dog?
I have no idea what that is.
So an Italian hot dog or a fried hot dog?
That's what a ripper is a fried hot dog?
Yeah.
Hot dog. So I don't know.
No hot dogs for you. Good. All right. I don't know. Every time I look up Jersey, people talk about those two things. So, all right.
Yeah. Person, I'd rather cheeseburger than a hot dog.
All right. Hamburger or cheeseburger? There we go.
Yep.
Cheeseburger, perfect. Single or double?
Single.
Coney Island or Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore. That's not even a question.
High crotch or foot sweep?
Ooh. I guess high crotch. I don't know. I don't really shoot high crotches that often, but I guess I like that better than a foot sweep.
All right. Well, first of all, keep kicking life's ass. I always tell everybody that. You're doing awesome. Good for you for sticking it out, because obviously look who you are today. And man, it was super dope having you on. What an honor. Thank you so much. And you know, God bless you. God bless what you're doing. Yeah. And your parents are this guy just said Rippers from Rutt's Hut. I don't know what that is. And oh, Skylar's dad would be a great interview for you.
My dad loves stuff.
Hey, I've never turned away anybody. If he wants to come on,
yeah, he'll come on.
I will get my link and let's do it. I'm cool with it. Any of your teammates, any of your fellow USA, Canadian world wrestlers that you think would be good for the show, any other of your women, How She Wrestle girls, send them my way. I'll be more than happy to have them on. I'm so happy just to be here helping the sport. So it's been cool.
Yeah, thank you for all that you've done. I mean, this kind of stuff is really going to help women's wrestling grow, and, people tuning into these kinds of things. It is going to help. And I just want to thank you for your efforts as well.
I appreciate it. And I hope you get power back soon, because as I know you say, it's not that big of a deal. I've been there and it sucks. So,
Yeah.
and
But worst thing happened. So
yeah, I mean, if it was March in Jersey and it was springtime, you could just pop the windows, but that's not happening, right?
not going to lie, it is hot, but it'll be on soon. I'm going to be optimistic. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It was such an honor. I appreciate you taking time out to do this with me.
thank you so much. Bye.
See you.